Yo, YouTube, what's up with your boy, Sports and Fitness Rants? I'm back, guys. Click that like button. Subscribe to my channel. What's up, y'all? Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. Got another great video for you guys today. As usual, you guys know the deal on this channel, man. We must continue to stand up and set the record straight, guys. We must continue to hold these guys accountable, hold them to a standard. That's what I'm doing on this channel. You know, some of you guys get on me sometimes because I might be, harsh on some of these players of this current era. And I always tell you guys, I'm holding them to the standard of all-time greats. For some reason, a lot of these fan bases of these players, they never want to talk about the negatives. They only want to highlight the positives, but yet they'll always tear down the past eras with negatives, never the positives. But they only want to talk about the positives for these guys in this era. And what I'm doing here is I'm holding these guys accountable for their actions. I'm not forgetting. A lot of fans forget about the things that their players have done that have happened in their careers. I'm keeping the record straight, guys, and I'm holding these guys accountable to the standard of all-time greats. And in this video, we're going to speak about Kawhi Leonard. And is Kawhi Leonard an MVP? Is he an MVP candidate? Should Kawhi Leonard be in the conversation for MVP, guys? We're going to talk about it in this video. And I want to thank you guys, man, everyone across the world, everyone across the states has been supporting my channel, guys. I am truly humbled by all the support, guys. Truly, truly humbled. You guys commenting, you're liking my videos, subscribing to my channel, you guys donating to my channel. It means a lot, man. Shout out to everybody in the membership, man. Much respect to all you guys out there, man, for the continued support, man. Once again, much respect. I am truly humble, guys. We must continue to stand up. Thank you. And you guys know what to do. Turn the volume all the way up. Hit that play button. Remember, these videos are for educational purposes. And let's roll. So, yes, guys, Kawhi Leonard, man's having a fantastic season. And I've heard, Kawhi Leonard's name being brought up in MVP conversation. Is Kawhi Leonard an MVP candidate player? That's what we're going to talk about in this video, guys. We're going to focus on that. Now, on this channel, some of you guys have been giving me a lot of pushback on my Kawhi Leonard takes. Some of the Kawhi Leonard fans, you guys send me comments telling me that I'm not, telling the facts, or I'm not telling the whole story, or that I'm wrong about Kawhi Leonard, and you guys will run off a laundry list of numbers, or you'll give me a couple of instances about Kawhi Leonard, or what? You'll talk about this season. Because I've told you guys many times, to me, Kawhi Leonard is the face of load management, right? He's the face of load management. And why is that? Because he was the biggest star doing the load management and abusing it at the time, guys. Remember, LeBron James is the face of flopping in this era. Why is that? Because he's the most popular player of the era, right? He's the era's biggest star, so it falls on him. Same thing for Kawhi Leonard, guys. He was the biggest star load managing, abusing the load management. And to do this, we must go all the way back to the 2017 season, guys. If you guys remember, I've talked many times on this channel about how impressed I was with Kawhi Leonard, LaMarcus Aldridge, and the San Antonio Spurs in the Western Conference Finals in 2017. And I've told you guys, if Kawhi Leonard does not get his knee taken out by Zaza Pachulia, they would have handily beat the Warriors. I believe they would have beaten the Warriors in that series, guys. Remember, they were up 20-plus points in the third quarter, and they had no answer for Kawhi Leonard or LaMarcus Aldridge. The Warriors, guys, the super team Warriors, everybody tells us, is unbeatable. They had no answer for the Spurs in game one. Granted, it was only one game, but they were killing them, guys. I was watching that game because I couldn't believe how they were beating them down this easily, this badly. And Kawhi Leonard was masterful. Masterful on both ends. They couldn't stop on offense, and on defense, he could make no mistakes. He was doing everything right, right? So we go back to that series, and that to me was the beginning of the end for Kawhi Leonard and the beginning of him becoming a load manager, the face of load management. Because it's not just about missing the games, guys. It's about the story. It's about the reasons why you're missing these games. Let's not forget, the San Antonio Spurs, guys, were a well-run organization. They were a first-class organization. Always, that's what they were known for. Guys like Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, David Robinson. These guys always talking about how the Spurs organization was top-notch, first class, and the evidence was there. They were always winning. Think about it. From what, 2000 or from 1999 to what, 2017? They never missed the playoffs. It might even been longer than that. They went like 20 years, guys, making the playoffs. I believe it's the longest streak in NBA's history. These guys were consistent. They were always making deep playoff runs, right? They were always title contenders. Every year from 99 to about 2015, they were legit title contenders every season. This goes to the leadership of Tim Duncan, Greg Popovich, and the organization as a whole. But in 2017, when Kawhi Leonard went down with the injury, what proceeded to happen? All of a sudden, Kawhi Leonard didn't want to play for the Spurs anymore. You guys remember the doctors cleared him the next season to come back. But what was going on? He was refusing to come back, literally refusing. He was saying that what? The doctors in San Antonio were lying and trying to force him back onto the court. This is the nonsense that Kawhi Leonard was saying. But the funny thing about it was that Kawhi Leonard was not speaking up. What was he doing? He was having like his uncle or somebody speak for him. And lines were getting crossed, right? Miscommunication was happening. And Kawhi Leonard essentially missed the entire 2018 season because of refusal to play for the Spurs, because he felt they weren't treating him fairly. They weren't treating him right. They were forcing him to come back. And that, to me, was the beginning of the end for me as far as how I felt about Kawhi Leonard, guys. This man, Kawhi Leonard, you guys remember, he wouldn't even speak to them. You guys remember David Robinson trying to reach out to Kawhi Leonard, Tony Parker, Tim Duncan. They tried to get all these guys to talk to Kawhi Leonard to get him to, communicate with the Spurs organization. But it wasn't happening. This is Kawhi Leonard, the diva, guys. This is Kawhi Leonard having other people speak for him. This is my problem with Kawhi Leonard not being a real leader, not being a real man. A man speaks for himself. Doesn't have other people speak for him. A man speaks up. Doesn't allow people to speak for him. But Kawhi Leonard wanted to play that game with the Spurs. And once again, I say, Kawhi Leonard looked stupid there because the Spurs had a reputation of being a well-run organization, first class, top-notch. We never heard anybody complaining about the Spurs doing this stuff, trying to hurt players, force them onto the court when they weren't ready. Doctors telling players they weren't hurt when they were. Like, come on, man. It don't add up. We also remember then what happened. He forced himself off the Spurs, right? He refused to play for the Spurs, and he was forcing a trade. But the Spurs weren't going to appease to him, so they sent him to Toronto. And in Toronto, he had a nice run, right? He went to a team that was on the cusp, but the problem was they were being led by DeMar DeRozan, who was never known for being a playoff performer, for being a clutch-time performer. So the Raptors always had quality teams. They just didn't have the leader they needed, right? They didn't have that player. But when Kawhi Leonard came, he was able to lead them with his play on the court, right? Not his actual leadership per se. He led them with his play. That was always Kawhi Leonard's MO, to lead by example, to lead on the court. But if we think about all these things, guys, right? The load managing, when I tell you guys, Kawhi Leonard's never played more than 75 games, I believe, in his career, but maybe once or twice in his career, guys. He's never played more than 70 games since, I believe, 2018 or 2017 was the last year I believe he played over 70 games. So we're talking about some years now. And it's not only that, guys. He's playing barely 50, 55 games a lot of these seasons, right? We think about that run in 2019. He load managed the entire season to what? Save himself for a postseason run. And the Raptors were okay with that because what? They were just trying to win. They were just trying to be relevant. They didn't care. They were renting Kawhi Leonard for the year. But they allowed him to only play 60 games to load manage to what? So that he could be rested in the postseason. That's why I say, guys, some of these numbers, these runs these guys go on is not as impressive because you didn't even play a full season. So you took a shortcut to preserve yourself for the postseason. I don't respect it, guys. I don't care about the injuries. Once again, the Kawhi Leonard fans, they always make injury excuses. There are no injury excuses, guys. Because once again, we could point to 2007 injury, right? And it's saying this excuse for the Spurs. They should have won, right? They would have won if Kawhi Leonard wasn't hurt. But then we could turn around on the flip side and say the only reason Kawhi Leonard and the Toronto Raptors won in 2019 was because of injuries to Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson. We could make that same argument. I've told you guys, you can make arguments all over NBA's history for injuries. There's no excuse, guys. There's no excuse. Kawhi Leonard abused load management. He refused to play for the Spurs. He wanted off the team. He said the doctors were lying about his injury. It was a fake phantom injury. Kawhi Leonard they said he was cleared to play. He didn't want to play. Goes to the Raptors, load manages, right? And then now he's been on the Clippers ever since. And what do the Kawhi Leonard fans say to me? They talk to me once again about his successes, but never about his failures, right? Where was Kawhi Leonard in the 2015 playoffs? Where was he? They lost, right? They lost to the Clippers in the first round after being up 3-2. Where was Kawhi Leonard? Where was Kawhi Leonard in 2016, right? Western Conference semifinal against the Oklahoma City Thunder. When the San Antonio Spurs had won 67 games, guys. They won 67 games that season. They were the number 2 seed, right? And they lost to who? The Oklahoma City Thunder. After once again, guys, being up 2-1. I believe they lost 3 games in a row to the Thunder, guys. 3 games in a row. Where was Kawhi Leonard? Where was he? And then in 2017, he got injured. So when people talk about Kawhi Leonard, they only want to talk about his successes, all the good things he's done. But when you bring up the load managing and you bring up these other scenarios, they don't have anything to say. Because these are the facts. As great as Kawhi Leonard has been in his career has been inconsistent, right? The injuries, the sitting out seasons, sitting out games. Where was Kawhi Leonard in the 2020 bubble season, right? Where were they? The Clippers were up 3-1, guys. They were up 3-1 against the Denver Nuggets. And what happened? They proceeded to lose 3 games in a row, guys. 3 games in a row. They blew a 3-1 lead. And they lost that series. Kawhi Leonard was on that team, guys. He played every single game. Where was he at? 3-1 lead. Blown. His fans won't talk about this, though. Right? So, that leads me back to the question. Is Kawhi Leonard an MVP candidate this season? Absolutely, I believe he is. Kawhi Leonard's having a great season. But all I'm always telling you guys is I'm holding him to a standard, right? I'm not trashing Kawhi Leonard. I'm not lying about him. These are the facts of his career. This is the way his career is played out, right? We can't change and bend the history or bend reality and try to rewrite the history to help Kawhi Leonard. We can't do those things. Everyone must be held to the same standard. And yes, Kawhi Leonard's having a great season this year. But once again, look at the team Kawhi Leonard's on, right? Did they not just trade for James Harden? Do they not have Paul George? Do they not have Russell Westbrook coming off the bench? Or Norman Powell? Or Robert Covington? Right? A Zubac? They have a bunch of players on this team. This is not Kawhi Leonard carrying a bunch of bums. Or Kawhi Leonard leading a team of role players. This is Kawhi Leonard on essentially a stacked team. Essentially a stacked team, guys. You have an MVP player coming off the bench, right? Russell Westbrook sacrificing for the Clippers. Because where was Kawhi Leonard when James Harden first got there? And they were losing all these games in a row, right? Where was Kawhi Leonard then? Right? Everyone's trying to figure it out. The Clippers are winning games because of their talent. It's not just because of Kawhi Leonard leading them. Yes, Kawhi Leonard is the best player on their team. No doubt. That's why I believe he is in the MVP conversation. But to me, him winning an MVP, it won't happen. Because once again, you're playing with other great players or really good players. Or Paul George is a solid player. Even though to me he's inconsistent, he's still a solid player there. Right? You have a James Harden, who I've told you I don't believe in James Harden. Right? He has to show me something in the postseason. But James Harden has shown and proven to be a regular season warrior, right? He's great in the regular season. That's helping Kawhi Leonard, is it not? Right? James Harden's leading them in assists. Kawhi Leonard's only leading the team in points. That's it. And he's leading them in points by what? 1 point over a Paul George and about 2 or 3 points over a James Harden. He's not leading them in rebounds or assists. He's not leading them in steals or blocks. He's leading them with his play on both ends. He's their best two-way player. Absolutely. But once again, Paul George is no slouch 2 ways. Norman Powell comes off the bench. Or Robert Covington. Russell Westbrook has been hustling, giving the effort. So the Clippers have a very well-rounded team. They have a great team, so to speak. So everything that Kawhi Leonard is doing is not as impressive because he's on a team with other good players that are also carrying their own weight. It's a great team right now. So for me, I don't think that Kawhi Leonard would win an MVP over a Jokic maybe, or even over someone like a Giannis, who has a little bit less well-rounded team, right? So for me, I would believe that those guys would be the front runners for an MVP award. You know, maybe if Luka Doncic's team would win a little more consistently, because Kyrie Irving's been in and out of the lineup, you could make an argument for him if his team was a little bit better, right? So for me, Kawhi Leonard's absolutely an MVP candidate. I just don't think he'll win an MVP on the Clippers. Just not, like I said, it's almost like they're taking away from each other, so to speak, guys. And once again, all the Kawhi Leonard fans out there, I've never hated on Kawhi Leonard. This has never been me trashing Kawhi Leonard. These are the facts, guys. Kawhi Leonard has abused load management. He's abused that idea, which is why what? Now they have a 65-game restriction. And if you think about it, guys, in Kawhi Leonard's career, he wouldn't have qualified for that 2014-15 Defensive Player of the Year award that he won. He would not have been qualified or eligible to win that award, guys. See what I'm saying? This is what has happened in the NBA. Due to guys like Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard has to own that. He has to take onus of this, right? Part of this load management guidelines is due to someone like a Kawhi Leonard, guys. He was a big culprit of that. You can't absolve him of that because he had injuries. Yeah, he had some legit injuries, but he also load managed a lot, guys. And remember, it was Kawhi Leonard that was flying on his own private jet, right? It was Kawhi Leonard that was doing his own things, being a diva, right? He'd do all these commercials in L.A., having his uncle talk for him. Remember, he didn't want to talk to anybody. David Robinson, Manu Ginobili, Tim Duncan, all these guys, Greg Popovich, everyone was trying to communicate with Kawhi Leonard, but he didn't want to have nothing to do with it because he was acting like a diva, like a baby, not acting like a grown-up. Having other people talk for you, represent you, and what you really want to say or how you want to say it. It's never going to come out that way unless you say that out of your own mouth. Remember, flying on their own private jets for his own self-gain, right? Essentially alienating himself from his teammates. These are all things we must remember, guys, about Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard's a great player. He'll be in the Hall of Fame. But I told you, I'll never put him in the top greatest players of all time, the top 10, 20 greatest players of NBA's history. You can't do it. His career's got too many holes. Too many holes, guys. Too many holes. You guys know the deal, man. Once again, Kawhi Leonard's having a great season, guys. He's definitely an MVP candidate. But once again, let me know what the Clippers do in the postseason. This regular season stuff doesn't mean much. The Clippers have a very good team, guys, on paper. Very good team. And these guys are playing. They are. But show me what they do, or let me see what they do when it matters most. That's the key for all these guys. Paul George, James Harden, Russell Westbrook, they got to show and prove. Kawhi Leonard's already showed and proved what he can do. The problem with Kawhi Leonard's always been his availability, his willingness to compete, right? To have heart and grit. I've told you, to me, Kawhi Leonard had no grit. Right? He don't want to push through any kind of discomfort or pain. These guys don't want to play unless they're 99%, 95%. Right? They must be perfect to play. That's always my problem with Kawhi Leonard. That's how he's always come across. And yes, this season he has played almost every game except for, I believe, 4 or 5 games he's missed. So good for him. But once again, this does not mean anything for the Clippers as a whole because Kawhi Leonard's been in L.A. since the 2019-20 season, and they've literally won nothing. They've blown multiple leads in the playoffs. Right? I just told you guys, they blew a 3-1 lead in 2020. Don't forget the next season, right? They went on a run without Kawhi Leonard. They went to the Western Conference Finals without Kawhi Leonard, guys. Right? I believe he missed 6 or 7 of the playoff games, maybe even 8 of the playoff games. Right? And Paul George was leading them without Kawhi Leonard. So please, spare me with the Kawhi Leonard hate. Oh, you hate on Kawhi Leonard, man. No, I'm not. I've never hated on any of these players. I'm holding them to a standard. I'm holding them accountable. You guys know the deal on this channel, man. You guys know the deal, man. Kawhi Leonard is definitely an MVP candidate, man. He's having a great season. But we must always remain true and hold these guys accountable and hold them to a standard and not forget. Don't forget these guys' history, guys. Right? We can't forget. You guys know the deal, man. I'll catch you guys on the next one.